Okay guys, so now we will see what if Japan made an empire. Yes, where we gone from India to Japan. This is not gonna start off like the India video, like where someone invades another country causing them to join Japan. But it will be the normal that Japan invades another country. But it's kind of hard. See, Japan is surrounded by very powerful nations, like Russia, South Korea, and also with many allied countries like North Korea allied with China, and China is pretty powerful. So let's see which country Japan invades first. Okay, so first country Japan declares war on is the Philippines. Yes, a good US ally. But since it's more on Japan's side, they will not be interfering with this war. Plus, since Japan has to, do heavily rely on its navy for naval landings, Japan's navy is really buffed. Means maybe stronger than the Chinese navy. Not the US navy, but the Chinese navy, which is really crucial. Yeah, so as they quickly make their naval front going through Taiwan to not get any border skirmishes with China, yes, they meet with the Filipino Navy. Heavy naval battles is going on as more Japanese ships go to surround most of the island, most of the navy over here, since they are literally more powerful than the Chinese navy. Maybe not the Chinese navy, but literally way more, maybe the third strongest military, not the navy. They quickly manage to get a landing into one of Philippines islands and surround them. With this, they make multiple naval landings on the areas they occupy. One naval landing here, one naval landing here, and one naval landing here. These islands are quickly taken since they are basically just mini islands. Over here it's taken, and they are also doing some island hopping. Is that even a Filipino island? I have no idea. Just on areas over here, like with the more populated Filipino area, there is a problem. As the Filipino army is, as Japan first moves here, the Filipino army is getting mobilized and ready. Meantime, still, Japan is trying to get a hold of this island over here. When they manage to do it, a few naval bombardments are made, and Japan makes another landing on this island right here. They quickly take over most of the island before the Filipino Navy is fully mobilized and starts to fight back for their country. Over here they managed to push back the Japanese, and over here they managed to put back the Japanese almost all away. But since most of their bodies, since the Japanese armies are basically resupplied, they make one naval landing here and cutting off these troops and fully thing. So and over here, so Filipina does the thing, and literally they are only occupied an island, decides to surrender. Let's see at the peace treaty. So the part of the peace treaty, literally the entire peace treaty was annexing the Philippines, and now they have a full navy, navy line across from East Asia to Southeast. I think this is only Southeast, but this is East Asia all the way to Southeast Asia. So now Japan is still not ready to fight on things like China. So we'll see what country they declare war on next. So next country the Japanese Empire has declared war is on Malaysia and Brunei. Tired for them, they're about to get destroyed. So before this, Malaysia has made a navy line now connecting their mainlands. But what is the Malaysian navy gonna do just to punch the Japanese? When they declared war, they quickly send their boats and destroys the first front line. Quickly make a naval landing in over here, and they quickly take over this part of the island. The Malaysia sees this and vaccinates all its navy to go all the way over here to the islands, as the Japanese navy is going to fully take over this island, and there's no use fighting for it. So just Malaysia now just has a really big front line just over here. Most of its means the navy, which didn't get destroyed, is just here protecting its mainlands. But after the fall of the the maritime area of Malaysia, they quickly go as the Japanese navy makes a quick spearhead from the Philippines and enters this. Since it's literally just it has a little problem, but it eventually breaks through and quickly captures the waters around Malaysia. And we all know what will happen now. Let's just say, so yeah, now Malaysia and Brunei is literally dead. In the peace treaty, most of now Malaysia and Brunei is fully annexed by the Japanese Empire. Now they have gained they gain now full control around where the waters of the Malaysian is. Now they control here. They still cannot get control over here due to Indonesia and a lot of maritime. Okay, so now we have this. So they have one of the longest. So now, oh my God, why is this so hard? Now we have one of the biggest navy areas. Let's see what is the next country Japan declares war on. So now we see the formation of the anti-Japanese empire. It's an alliance between North Korea, China, Myanmar, Thailand, and Laos and Cambodia against the expansion of Japan. This is mainly to protect themselves against the Japanese empire, but not all of them joined, such as Taiwan, Vietnam, and South Korea due to problems with China. Otherwise, rest joined. This is immediately delays Japan's expansion rate, but it decides to go on with this and still does not limit them, since they still have South Korea, Vietnam, and still Indonesia. Even though it might not be easy to invade South Korea, it would still be a little bit of a breeze. So next country Japan declares war on is, it is Russia. It's Russia. No. It's Russia. Yes, the big. My God, that's so annoying. So, the Japanese Navy quickly, occupies most of Russia's coast and manages to make a naval landing in this island right here, quickly, completely capitulating it, and also does some island hoppings here with the other help of their navy being able to go all the way to this area right here. Rest of the islands over here are occupied by Japanese, so creating the Japanese. So now they also surround this area of Russia, making a thick line over here, and now also makes a navy landing. Right, some navy landings, one here and one right here, which connect and starts an invasion of the mainland Russia. Over here, the Japanese make a navy landing here and go up from here. After a few times of a little bit preparing, they managed to ramp up their invasion by a lot and start to go into the Siberian part over here. Most Siberian parts are made, as Russia still has to send their military from over here to protect Moscow and every St. Petersburg to all the way across here to the other edge of their map. So like that, they managed to encircle this area. They're really easy since they are really undefended, because of China would help them in case of a war. Not like China, but China is basically controlling that area from invading Russia. So Japan makes so much more invasions over here, and over here in the Siberia part, it's getting more ramped up invasions. Over here. Slowly but surely, the Russian military is now almost at the breach right here to meet up with the Japanese Empire. So Japan tries to make a quick link up with soldiers by going through the coast, as this army does as well. But before they could, they actually managed to reach it. But before they can, send supplies and make a heavy defensive line, Russia comes and breaks this defense line again, and actually manages to push back the well-trained Japanese. Even though they're having struggles in Ukraine, they can fight off a really strong country. And over here, they're pushed back. They were really successful since the Japanese did not put up a defensive line, but they managed to quickly put a defensive line up here, withdrawing all Japanese troops to hold out. Right here. Since they have navy superiority, it would be easy to, hold out to these areas. As now the Russian navy does not exist over here, Japan decides to make navy fallouts all the way around the Russian coast, bombarding a lot of them. They managed to kill this, and a lot of bombardments are made to try to make a landing there. But after a few months of bombardment and trying to make navy landing, they make one big navy landing here and one big navy landing right here, which they do quickly link up, and they decide to try to connect. As this was a quick surprise, they managed to actually link up with the defensive line and also managed to link up with this. After this has been like around 1 year later, and Russia and Japan decides to sign for peace. Let's look at the peace treaty. So, looking at the peace treaty here, we see that Japan claims full navy superiority across their lands over here. They finally get these islands and over these islands over here. And they made a trade with Russia that for 3 nukes they will let Russian ships to pass through this without tags, which Russia decides to agree, and now Japan is in possession of nuclear weapons, but only 3. So, with these nuclear weapons, even though I'm not going to make them launch it, they threatened Indonesia and Papua New Guinea to join their empire or get nuked. Papua New Guinea will be short of 1 nuke like around here that would basically decimate their population. And for Indonesia, they're going to hit it right here and also here. With most of their population here. This island has more population than Russia, so it's really needed. So Japan and Papua New Guinea decides to accept this offer and join the Japanese empire for the safety of their people. I'll just update this later. Okay, I'll just update it right now. Now it is the Indonesia and Papua New Guinea is part of the Japanese empire. And I didn't circle all islands, but any islands within the navy range is owned by Japan. As now they have a little bit nukes. They decide, even though they can't, it turns out that the nukes were fake and not fake, but was not needed since they were not gonna. That would cause an entire war. So they decide to take them down for scrap, but still doing the part of the treaty where Russia is allowed to move. So if unfortunately for one country in Japan decides to go for a little risk and declare war on Taiwan, and checking if China would actually join the war against the Japanese or try to first invade Taiwan first, which surprisingly nothing happens. So Japan quickly surrounds right here and makes a navy landing in the Taiwanese coast, quickly capitulating the island with the absolute wrath of the Japanese navy. Uh, so, when the peace treaty, same old, Taiwan gets annexed. Now, they also, a good thing about this is that Japan now has another area to attack when they decide to go for to Southeast Asia. They are literally right next to the Chinese coast. And will another decide to, little bit move near South Korea and do the same thing, not with that, not color, with South Korea. Japanese troops quickly flood the island right here, making a navy landing here, and go from the top and quickly capitulating South Korea. Same old peace treaty. South Korea gets annexed. Fully annexed. So now even though it would be way far harder, most of the South Korean troops were near, North Korea in case of an invasion. But instead they got invaded from behind. Don't ask me what's going on over here. I have no idea. I'll fix that later. Because it's not supposed to be like that. Okay, so the last country the Japanese Empire declared war on is okay. So the next country they declared war is Vietnam. This is the only other country they can declare war on unless they're not like fighting some really strong neighbors or like triggering any alliance. So as they quickly go around, basically with the amount of the scrap from the nukes, they managed to upgrade their military's navy's efficiency and navy's efficiency and speed, so they can quickly come near the Vietnamese coast, which will cause a naval landing to be around here and a naval landing around here, cutting Vietnam into two. Vietnamese soldiers go from everywhere to try to protect try to get rid of the Japanese while this area is captured, and they made a double attempt to recapture the Vietnam as the Japanese soldiers move unbordered. As they quickly try to go up the Vietnamese coast, splitting Vietnam into North Vietnam and South Vietnam through the Vietnam War, they are eventually stopped by the Vietnamese troops and actually pushed back from Vietnam around this area where they're chokehold. But since Vietnam has no more allies because everyone is basically in alliance, so China's not supplying, they are getting supplies from all over their country. So eventually they managed to push back the Vietnamese again. The Vietnamese government orders a defensive line to be around here, where even the guerrilla warfare is going on over here. A heavy amount of fighting is going on here, but unfortunately Vietnam basically gets broken and basically surrenders to the Japanese. The peace treaty, they're annexed. So after fully expanding, it decides to declare a war on it declares war on Laos, which does activate the treaty, but only to a specific extent, because China does not join, and China and North Korea doesn't join for some reason, which is which is a really bad thing for China. Not really surprising for Japan, since it had troops stationed over here in South Korea and Taiwan to invade the Chinese coast. So, even with the bumped up Vietnamese troops who are literally capable, not maybe capable, but capable of fighting the Americans, they quickly flood northern Laos. This is way too thin. I'll make it a little thin. They quickly flood northern Laos and go down over here. I finally found out what this island name. This is Sakhalin. Still don't know what these islands are. Okay, and also start their push into Cambodia, while the navy manages to push through here and also through here to surround the Thailand and Myanmar, making multiple landings around here. Also here they managed to make a push, making landings over here and over here, which causes more instability within the unstable Myanmar. Over here, these defensive landings meet up, and another landing is made near Thailand. Here, the more successful pushes is made as Cambodia capitulates, managing to connect up with the remaining invading Taiwan force, and more it is coming through here, capitulating Laos. They're asking why China and North Korea decided not to join, and China said since they're the creator of the alliance, they can do whatever they want. So they disbanded the military alliance as soon as Japan declares war. And North Korea doesn't have to be involved in it. After more months of fighting, the Myanmar is the last standing nation to actually be able to have a chance. China decides to, since all the troops were now over here, China decides to try to surprise Japan, as they quickly make invasion of South Korea, capturing Seoul and going back to the Korean War area. The heavy Japanese are here. Oh, we forgot this one. The Chinese army is also prepared to fight, as they are now ready to station and destroy the Japanese military over here. Around here. And also has a solid defense in North Korea. So here protecting this coast. There are heavy fighting still going on, but eventually China is still inferior because the Japanese navy was not prepared for this, and the landing of Taiwan is made, which liberates the island. It's still not going to be independent though. China will not let them miss out on that. Over here, Pakistan decides to join the war by supplying China and eventually joining the war with China. This time India will not join, that's for real, and Japan at least has an upper hand in some areas, such as the area over here from Russia. They managed to put a little invasion over here, since Chinese troops were mostly stationed in North Korea, and managed to take over most of the Manchurian area. World War II, the vibes coming on. As they were here, the Japanese troops finally quickly supply the remaining Japanese troops in South Korea and actually make a pushback of the Chinese and North Korean troops. They quickly push back, since China is literally a scramble to protect this area, and all the way back to the border. Even over here they are doing it's really bad, since the military of the Chinese army is destroyed and and multiple naval landings are happening over here and over here by Japan, which capitulates North Korea and manages to connect up with the remaining, with the Japanese from Russia. The Chinese troops were not prepared for a backfire as they were quickly engulfed and was not stopped, which causes China to withdraw all troops from this area to create, try to create as much things here. As Pakistani soldiers finally arrive, there is a defensive line here. Eventually, over here, Japan makes a push to China through here, and China with the help of Myanmar with the help of China manages to push some of the Japanese troops out. Japan, since now their navy is prepared, manages to quickly continue to push back the Chinese through almost areas of the South China Sea, as they finally managed to make it for the Battle of Taiwan. As the Battle of Taiwan is short, since they are basically, Taiwan is basically divided into three groups. That group is the Japanese, is the Japanese invaders, the Chinese occupiers, and the independent Taiwanese. They quickly split up and make something like this, where they all border each other, which is not good since they all are at war with each other. But eventually, the Japanese with the independent Taiwanese manages to push China out of Taiwan. But they quickly try to get Japan out of this, which is unsuccessful since Japan pushes back them and fully takes over the island. With this, Japan makes further pushes into the Chinese water, as they now manage to get full control of the over here and these areas here. China is literally not knowing what to do, since it's now basically losing all its. Now it's vulnerable to all naval landings, which does happen. There's naval landing around here, second over here and here, which, if it's the purpose of this naval landing after some studying, is meant to try to cut off these troops, which does successfully, and this defensive line it basically falls to the Japanese, and huge part of China is basically now Japan. Over here, they managed to make more invasions and take over the island, and here they push back them because Chinese are literally scrambling for their lives, which caused the capitulation of Myanmar, which now is just for the Battle of China, since Pakistan, with nothing to gain in this war, leaves the war. Now it's just China, but they are also, after Beijing collapses, there is nothing else for them to do except to just basically line some troops over Pakistan, which Pakistan is asking why. Well, the reason for that is to teach Pakistan a lesson for leaving the war, as they declare war on Pakistan, as the more powerful Chinese troops enter through northern Pakistan, and basically taking Istanbul and torturing the leader for all it has did. While this is happening, India is kind of surprised on why did China do that. But this comes as a cost, since they had to use so many troops to, overwhelm Pakistan without a fighting force back. They manages to, do a bigger push into China with all the might of the Southeast Asia. China is almost, not able to do anything as they basically have to spread. So they decided to surrender to the Japanese Empire. Let's look at the peace treaty. Okay, so now we have the peace treaty with Japan. Basically, this is the peace treaty of Southeast Asia. So over here, around the Manchurian area, we see that first North Korea gets annexed by South Korea, by the Japanese, and this is and the exclave of exclave of Russia is connected up over here. Over here, we see that they have annexed full Southeast Asia, and also taken control of this island. They get Taiwan back, and now they have full Southeast Asia over here. This is most, and also for the China, after losing this land, Tibet declares its independence as well as this. I have no idea what this name is. Can you tell me in the comments? And also Pakistan gets this small land of China as a as punishment for invading them. So that will do it. And also wait, they have expanded their navy fleet all over the world, since they were able to single-handedly beat China, North Korea, all of Southeast Asia, and Pakistan support. Basically, Pakistan never got invaded, but it got Pakistan support. So they send troops and everything. So that is gonna do it for the Japanese. If Japan create a video, bye.